the Overman Warrior Podcast.
It's a very big issue, a tremendous issue, and we will solve it. And believe me, it will be great, the greatest. دشمن ایران سرافراز نورش اطلاع دیروز فرمان
Hi, Kirchhoffman here. So the regime change in Iran is well underway, and it was. I remember how the attack was unfolding. I was with a number of very good Republicans. We were having an event for Michael Ryan to get his campaign, the boots on the ground stuff started ahead of the primary and the 2026 general election for Commissioner of Butler County. So there were a lot of smart people at this event, and everybody was talking about this attack and what it meant, and how dangerous it could or would be. And my statements on the attack was that it is inevitable. It was something that had to happen from the 70s when Marxism used Islam as a mask to intrude itself into the Middle East and destabilize the region. There was a Marxist movement all through Central America, South America, the Democrat Party in the United States, of course, China, North Korea, Vietnam. We have to come to terms with the fact that there has been an aggressive military globalist push by a Marxist philosophy to destabilize the world in detrimental ways, and many people have been killed in the process. And anybody who defends that position is part of the problem. They are what you would call the enemy. And so my explanation about Democrats in the party, because everybody was talking, it's when you're the party in power, which Republicans are now, what kind of impact is this going to have on Trump? On the Republican Party in general, all these local elections? Are people going to be angry about the overthrow of places like Venezuela and places like Iran and the regime change that spawns from it? Are people going to hold that against Trump? And is Trump all of a sudden going to lose support from all the folks out there? And my general statement to everybody is no. People like a winner. People like defined resolutions. They like to see progress, boldness. Even if occasionally something bad does happen, people favor the bold on almost every occasion. And so this Iranian regime change, which is the only way to talk about it, it's very similar to what happened in Venezuela. It's very similar to what's happening in Mexico right this minute. It's happening in Canada as we speak. The pressure campaigns. This is the difference between just brute force military occupation and what everybody fears is boots on the ground, that military endeavors. If you listen to all the experts out there that they're not so smart. But if you listen to them, they'll tell you boots on the ground occupation. This is Iraq 1 and 2. Where this is how you get the world in trouble and start getting America into all these countries where we have to police them. Afghanistan, for instance. And that's not what is going on with Trump. And it's certainly not what's going on with the pressure campaigns that are very much part of the way that the world is being shaped as we speak. So, as an executive in any kind of business endeavor, this is why Trump has an advantage over those who have been trained institutionally to certain parameters of polite global governance. And that's why he's been so effective, and why picking him. This is what we voted for. This is what I voted for. This is certainly what I want to see happen. I want to see Iran toppled in the way that it never should have emerged as a Marxist intrusion on the backs of Islam. So you weren't allowed to pick on a hostile religion that was masking this Marxist incursion. So everywhere where you see support for radical Islamic centers, you also see this push for Marxism. Mondani in New York, for instance. These aren't, you don't hear Muslims out there advocating. I mean, I'm sure there are some, but you don't hear it politically. Muslims out there advocating for capitalism. And capitalism is the way that everybody has upward mobility, or most people have the opportunity for upward mobility. If you're willing to roll out of bed and go to get a job and work hard and put the money in the bank and build good things for yourself and your family, capitalism is the way to go. If you want a micromanaged society where centralized figures decide what you can and can't do, whether or not you open an ice cream shop or whether or not they want to just not have ice cream shops because they determine that no one should eat ice cream, that's what you get in these Marxist regimes with centralized authority. And anywhere you get centralized planners that are out there advocating for more of that kind of thing, you're going to have problems. And that's what you get. That's certainly what you see in the Democrat Party in the United States, and why they're out there protesting, and why there's flash mobs of protesters against this Iranian regime change. But you had to have all this, all the bad guys in the world, the Marxists especially, whether they're hiding the Marxism behind race or behind the feminist movement or behind religion. However, they're trying to infuse Marxism into a society. That's exactly, they're the ones that are out there. They're the ones that are upset about this whole Iranian thing. Anybody who wants to see freedom and upward mobility and people having a trajectory in their lives to solve problems in a constructive way, those people tend to be supportive. Those who don't want to see it happen are against it. So in that case, will these aggressions hurt Trump? Will they hurt other Republicans? I say no. I think all this will only benefit Republicans. Any Republican that stands for action, decisive victory over complacency and over United Nations talking points will find themselves in a much better position, and will find great wins. And the midterms will have a better chance of staying in Republican control with victories like this, especially like the cartels. And in Mexico, yeah, they're running around, they're upset, their leader was killed. The Mexican government, under great pressure from Trump, had to act to show that they're going to do the right thing and that they're not just marionettes to the cartels that run the country. And now that one of the big leaders has been killed off, the cartels went crazy and got upset and started pillaging their highways and blocking roads and attacking the infrastructure to show that they have control over the government, not the government that doesn't have control over them. So they had a bit of a rebellion, but that's all part of uncovering the beast within. And that is the socialist and Marxist movements that have been hiding behind these governments. And Venezuela certainly was a socialist authoritarian government. Mexico certainly is. Canada certainly is. China is a communist government. Iran is a socialist Marxist enterprise hiding behind radical Islam. And the mask of all these characters under this idea of below-the-line thinking, whether it was repressed women's rights, repressed racial equality, or religious perspective, whatever the mechanism has been, the Marxism behind it is what has been the real villain. And that's what's at war here. And that's why you had to have regime change in Iran. They were warned off. A very capitalist Trump administration that has inspired more capitalism in places like Israel, in places certainly in Saudi Arabia, even though they lean in Islamic directions as their fundamental religious perspective. if you've been to Dubai or Abu Dhabi, it's about thriving economies. And that's the way that people have better lives for themselves, and they don't find themselves ruled over by authoritarian tyrants. But there has been a movement in the world lurking in the background. And again, you find it in the Democrat Party in the United States, but you find them in communist governments all over the world, socialist governments everywhere. You see this desire to push a globalism that is Marxist directed, and that has been unleashed by all kinds of mystery schools and those who think they're smart, know better, the same losers that set up the United Nations, that didn't unite the nations. It just tried to create a one world government that did not give people upward mobility and autonomy over their own lives. This idea of self-rule, which is the embodiment of the United States and has been under attack by the Democrat Party for many years, and Rhino Republicans, all that's coming unraveled. And anybody who thinks the political trajectory is going towards a more tyrannical approach is simply just that they're misreading the tea leaves. That is not how it's going to go down. People who vote, if you can keep elections honest in the United States, people who vote are going to reward Republicans for giving them victories and supporting capitalism so they have a chance at upward mobility, not state-owned control of assets and market viability. That's not what people want. We've seen it to a degree that was frightening through the 30s in the United States up to the present time. There were pockets of success, but in truth, where we are today is the utopia created in the 30s with the whole Great New Deal FDR policies, which is communism in disguise from the Democrat Party. Sounded great in a thriving, successful country like the United States, but gradually it eroded away and gave people less opportunity than more, and that's not where people want to go. And they want to see a reduction of that kind of intrusion all over the world. So Trump sees it. Trump's reading everything right, and he's taking bold action in ways that the rest of the world is going to catch up to. But that's in overthrowing Venezuela, the hostilities there, breaking the back of China, who has, as a communist nation, has used Venezuela as a hedge point in this hemisphere, the United States, to be in our back door. They want to have a presence in how we handle the Panama Canal and how we handle our economy in this hemisphere. And Venezuela was a leverage point for that. And so were the hostilities of the Soviet Union and China throughout the support of communist regimes in Central America that have been toppled over the years. All these places around the world are falling. And Iran had to fall. It was bound to happen. They were given every off-ramp to make peace of some kind, and they just wouldn't do it. Couldn't do it. It just wasn't in their view of the world to do so. And the people in Iran were looking for a boost, a way to take back their country, a spark for rebellion, and the United States gave it to them. And the trajectory of that will show that people are going to emulate the United States, and free and open elections are going to become much more of a priority in places like Iran, certainly in places like Iran, Iraq, Venezuela, Mexico, Canada for sure. And the pressure is going to be on China. And that's the way you break the back of China is you take away all their leverage points. And the Democrat Party in the United States is essentially that presence for the Chinese Communist government. And so we're at war with Democrats and domestically. They're not our friends. You can't go have lunch with them and make peace. You have to draw a line in the sand and fight the conflict where the fight is. And that's why you see all these hostilities erupting around the world, is because it's been long overdue. And the attack in Iran is just the next sequential step after the olive branch of peace was put out, and they denied to take it, and they kept playing their games. And Trump knows that the window is short to tackle these things, so he did so decisively. And thank goodness he did. And I'll say the same thing here that I said to all my Republican friends. when we talk about the midterms and how elections are going to shape up this year, people vote for winners. So be part of the winning side. Go out there and advocate for, don't be a rhino, be a very strong Trump Republican, and you'll see great things happen in the midterm elections and local elections as well. Indecisiveness causes failure in winning elections. Decisiveness and standing against tyranny and communism, that will win you a lot of elections. Because most people don't want communism in their life. They might have accepted state control of certain assets out of the premise of fairness, only to have that fairness really disguise Marxism behind it. And enough people have been burnt by it now that they know better. And the political dynamic is changing radically in healthy ways, but people have to be bold enough to put their arms around it and support Trump and Republicans who are doing great things in the world, like regime change in Iran and the reforms that are going on in Mexico right this minute, and of course giving Venezuela back to the people that are supposed to run their own country. And elsewhere in the world, where these things are happening very openly and quickly. And I would say Hong Kong, this is your chance to also do a lot like what's going on in Iran. And the point of the toppling Iran was to take the spike in the ground that China had laid there and show that the people can take back their country, because the same thing can happen in China as well, through Hong Kong, and which is the next great step. And it's good to see. About time. People who want freedom need to have it. And America is the best way to deliver that freedom to them, so they can fulfill their own destinies in ways that human intellect and imagination were meant to embody and carry upward mobility in ways that humans deserve and should have always had. Anyway, it's Rich Hoffman here. Share, subscribe, make tomorrow a better day. If you ever read my book, The Gunfighter's Guide to Business, I think you'll love it. Anyway, have a good day. See you later.
Thank you for listening.